Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFS Hockey Report. It is October 21st. It is a Tuesday. We have a 10-game slate on our hands tonight. Apologize for the lateness. We've been doing a pretty good job, I think, this year, Zach, of actually being on time. But today, I had to do a show. We actually did a show together, so that took up a lot of our time. And then I have a 2-year-old, or almost 2-year-old, and she was a handful today. And I can't tell her that it's a 10-game slate. She doesn't get what that means. So, unfortunately for us, a little bit late. But here we are. Let's go. Zach, how are you doing today, bud?
Brock, I'm doing well, man. Happy to do the second show of the day with you here. Interesting slate tonight. Ready to get my heart broken by Edmonton again, and hopefully not lose any money today because it has been a rough start to the year.
Yeah, we're going to change things up today. You're not breaking down Edmonton games. I'm going to break down Edmonton games, and maybe that'll help change the juju. If there's ever a get-right spot, the Islanders weren't the get-right spot the other day. It's got to be this one against the Senators, who are just hemorrhaging goals again so far this season. So let's get into tonight's slate with – oh, that's the wrong one. There we are, and I don't have the screen share on, so we are off to a bad start here on today's episode of the DFS Hockey Report. It is coming, I promise. Here we go. And we're live. Okay. Anthony Stolarz gets a start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It'll be Jake Allen for the New Jersey Devils. Ilya Sorokin goes to the New York Islanders. He's given up 4 goals. Count it, 4 goals in every game so far this season. Can the streak continue against the Sharks? That's the ultimate test, really. We welcomed What Chaos to the Nation Network stable of shows yesterday. Very happy to have Pete and DJ aboard. And Pete pointed out the Sharks, dating back to last season, have lost 15 consecutive hockey games. That's just unbelievable. Yeah. I think it was 10 in a row to end last season and the first 5 of this year. So unbelievable stuff. I think tonight's tonight. I think they win tonight. I think they beat the Islanders. I'm calling my shot. Archer Seeloff's revenge narrative tonight as he gets the Vancouver Canucks, who will counter with Kevin Lankinen, the guy who basically stole his job. Linus Ullmark gets the start for the Ottawa Senators. He's been horrendous. What is he at right now? An 848 save percentage and a 399 goals against average. He'll face Stuart Skinner for the Oilers. Logan Thompson goes for the Washington Capitals. Philip Grubauer is projected to get the start for the Seattle Kraken, but there is murmurs that maybe Matt Murray will get the nod here for Seattle. So we'll see who ends up getting the nod there either way. Washington looks like they're in a pretty good spot here with the Kraken on the second half of back-to-back. Jeremy Swayman gets the nod for the Boston Bruins. Sergei Bobrovsky for the Panthers. It's going to be Jordan Binnington for the Blues. We're expecting to see Anton Forsberg again for the Kings. Darcy Kemper did travel, but not expected to be available tonight. UC Saros gets a start for the Nashville Predators. Unclear who starts for the Ducks, but we have Lucas Dostal projected. Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars. Elvis Merzlikins as the Blue Jackets goaltending rotation continues. Merzlikins leads the NHL in goals saved above expected, I believe, per 60 at least. He's been phenomenal so far. Karel Vejmelka gets a start for the Utah Mammoth, and projecting to see Scott Wedgwood. It's almost certainly going to be Wedgwood because Blackwood did not travel to Utah. So let's get into tonight's slate. As I mentioned, we will start at the top with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New Jersey Devils. I get the Edmonton Oilers game, which means that you get game number 1. Take it away.
Love it. We got the Toronto Maple Leafs paying visit to the New Jersey Devils tonight, coming in as minus 117 favorites on the money line. 3.0 implied total for the Leafs, 2.8 for the New Jersey Devils. This looks like a bit of a low scoring, kind of grinded out sort of game. Toronto 1 grading out as the best line here in this game tonight. 14th overall on the 5v5 charts, projected for about 5.5% ownership here. Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes, and Max Domi coming in at $17,700. Domi up there really helps take the cost of this line down. I've got a little bit of interest in playing this Toronto side. Nothing crazy. I'll probably have a little bit of Toronto 1, 5% to meet the field is a number I'm totally fine with. You know, the matchups in this game are pretty bleak all around for the Toronto side and really for the Devils side as well. New Jersey 2, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer drawing the best matchup here in this game with a 50.6 matchup score. Offensively, the line stats, been a bit rough all around here for both of these teams so far to start the season. The one bright spot here, I think, you know, for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Austin Matthews. It's been a solid start to the year for him, all things considered. And in his career, he has loved going up against the New Jersey Devils. 21 goals and 31 points in 21 games played. So not a bad option there for What should be a good floor game for him at the very least. Really good shot volume from Matthews so far this season, generating a high number of individual expected goals. This is all promising stuff. It was a rough year last year for Austin Matthews individually. It's good to see him bouncing back to form here. On the Devils side of things, I don't really have a ton of interest in getting there. About 5% total ownership coming here on the top six. I don't mind the idea of going to this second line here in this spot just because they have the best matchup score. But it doesn't really feel like a game where I'm necessarily wanting to jam it in or anything like that. Pretty bleak power play matchups for both clubs here so far. The New Jersey penalty kill has been absolutely lights out to start the season. Really, really good numbers there for them. Toronto Maple Leafs power play struggling to get a whole lot going here so far this season. So for me, I think it's pretty much Toronto 1 or bust here. You can make an argument for maybe a little bit of Toronto 2 with Tavares Nylander mini stacked. Nylander has been great so far this season. 5.5 points per hour. He's got 11 points in 6 games played. So he's been red hot to start the season.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I bet the under, which means it's probably going to be a high scoring game. So yeah, I don't have a ton of interest. I do think that the Leafs are kind of searching for it still right now. So I'm probably going to stay away. The metrics with Domi up there in the past haven't been really great. I don't mind Matthews Nyes mini a little bit. I'm a little bit more interested in this New Jersey side of things. Like Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt really had a nice weekend. I think they're in a pretty good spot. The Leafs, when you take a look at the metrics, the 20th in terms of expected goals against at 5v5 per 60. So not the best defensive club. New Jersey's been, his top 10 right now. Jake Allen's playing well. So yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in this game overall, but I think New Jersey is pretty interesting. Let's get to game number 2, the Islanders and the Sharks. The Islanders with the highest implied total are tied for the highest implied total on the slate, which is hilarious. That just is how bad the Sharks are. The Islanders have the highest implied total, but whatever. Let's get into the line stacks here. Excuse me. New York 2 grades out as the number 3 line to target, seeing about 10% ownership. Barzal, Palmieri, and Anthony Duclair. Palmieri's got pretty good shot volume to start the season. Bo Horvat's really been their best player thus far, though, but just doesn't really have I like Horvat as a one-off option, but stacking with Drouin and Emil Heineman doesn't really feel the best. So I do like Horvat a lot, but this top line looks like kind of the better stacking option. When you take a look at the power play, it grades out 9th best. The Sharks actually grade out 3rd best on the power play. I do think this Sharks team is kind of interesting, right? You've got the Islanders and the Sharks, both with really good matchups here, high event game overall. And when you take a look at the metrics on the season, these are the 2 worst 5v5 teams in terms of defense in the NHL, 31st and 32nd overall. And then offensively, the Islanders are 11th and the Sharks are 25th. So I do think both these offenses are capable enough to take advantage of the poor defense at the other play. I think that the over is highly likely in this game. It's just a matter of if the Sharks actually show up or not. I think the one thing for the Sharks and Celebrini specifically is they just continuously change the lines on this guy. He's got a different line mates every game. Going back to something that we saw last year, Toffoli, Celebrini, Smith played well together. I think it's the only line really worth considering. I think they're in a good spot. As I mentioned, they fully correlate on that top power play unit as well. Orlov still provides nice value if Klingberg remains out. So I like this line to take advantage I accidentally closed the tab there. Let me just fix this. Reopen, close tab. There we go. So I like their potential to take advantage of this really bad Islanders PK. The 5v5 metrics are good. The matchup's good. The metrics, aren't great, but the matchup is good. So I think the San Jose 1 line has the ability to take advantage of it. They're not really seeing that much ownership. They're not very expensive at 16,100. I think it's a get right spot for the Sharks tonight to potentially take advantage. And if Ilya Sorokin continues to give up 4 goals per game, someone on the Sharks has got to score it. And I think that this top line is the most likely to do so. That being said, the second line grades out just ahead of them, 19th overall, and they're 11,500. Look like an okay value option, but I don't think that they have the highest ceiling, right? Wenberg doesn't shoot. Eklund doesn't shoot. Their floor is completely non-existent. So I don't really like them for DFS purposes, but that's my view on game number 2. Let's get to the Penguins and the and the Canucks.
Yeah, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vancouver Canucks here tonight. As I just pull it up on my charts here, we've got the Canucks visiting the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is a pick 'em, minus 105 on each side on the money line, 3.1 implied total for both sides. The Vancouver Canucks are coming in extremely banged up here. Lost Philip Hedl, lost Jonathan Lecker-Mackey over the weekend. Brock Besser banged up as well. It sounds like he might be able to go tonight, but still nothing confirmed on that front. So taking a look at the 5v5 lines here in this game, Pittsburgh won, grading out very, very well tonight. Fourth best overall. Sidney Crosby, Rickard Rakell, and Brian Rust. Very inexpensive, it feels like, for these guys. $18,000. They're drawing modest ownership here at around 10%. This is a line that I've got a ton of interest in here tonight. It's been a bit of a tough start to the season for the Canucks just in general here, and losing these bodies the way that they have is not very good for them and the shape up of this roster here. So pencil me in for a good amount of Pittsburgh 1. I really like the look of them here in this spot. Pittsburgh 2, grading out 27th best overall. Justin Brazeau, a couple good games to start the season. I kind of have a hard time getting to any of these depth pieces. On this Pittsburgh side of things, for me, it's pretty much Pittsburgh 1 or bust here in this spot. Another interesting thing, too, Artur Silovs is going to go for the Penguins tonight. Revenge game narrative against the organization that traded him away here. I think that's a pretty interesting angle here in this game. The Canucks side of things, it looks pretty good on their side, at least in terms of, the matchup scores. Really strong matchups for all four lines here for the Canucks. Vancouver 2 drawing the best matchup. Atu Ratti, Kiefer Sherwood, and Evander Kane. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to get there myself. I think you can make an argument for it. Atu Ratti, dirt cheap at $2,500. Not really much of a floor to speak of this season thus far. I don't really know if I can get up to this top line either. This just does not really feel like a good spot for the Canucks for me here. So I'll probably be staying away from this Vancouver side. And in terms of Pittsburgh, probably going to be a little over the field on Pittsburgh 1 here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh 1 feels good. I'm a little surprised their underlying metrics for the season still haven't really been that good. But the team as a whole, that second line's really been carrying the water for them. And as a whole, this team grades out top 5 in the NHL, according to Sports Logic, in terms of expected goals for per 60 at 5v5. So really, really good numbers as a team. And the Canucks are bottom 5 defensively. So this is a pretty good matchup with a Canucks team that's extremely banged up. I do still think that second line has a little bit of value at 11,900. Like they've been scoring and the underlying metrics are solid. So I don't necessarily want to jam them in, but at 5% with a really expensive, Edmonton stack or something, I think they're viable. Pittsburgh 1, I agree though. Definitely at that price tag. They're not mega chalk like they were over the weekend, but still fairly popular at about 10%. I will say, Elias Pettersson still not really doing anything. Unfortunately, he scored against Washington the other night, 2 shots on goal. I wish the shot volume was there. I just don't know if I can play him at $6,700. But man, Jake DeBrusk had a really nice week last week. He's coming around, and Connor Garland, between those two, they're both playing monster minutes. Garland's over 22 minutes his last 3 games. With these injuries, I wouldn't be surprised if they're both over 20 tonight. And yeah, DeBrusk, the shot volume is there at a 10-shot, 1-goal game over the weekend. I think those two make a little bit of sense if you're targeting the Canucks tonight. I just think that they're pretty reasonably priced at $5K and $5,400. But man, it's so hard to play Elias Pettersson right now. Just going back to the Islanders game for a second, John says Matthew Schaefer on D for the Islanders. Yes, he seems like a solid play tonight for sure. Swayman versus Florida or Vejmelka versus Colorado. Yikes. Probably Swayman. He's been playing well. The Panthers really haven't got going yet. So I would say Swayman. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, that's the way that I would lean to.
CP14 says Sherwood GOAT status tonight. Yeah, he seems to have big games every now and again. It's just hard to pinpoint when those are coming. All right, I get to break down the Oilers and the Senators. This one should be lots of fun, which means it's probably going to be a 2-1 hockey game. The Senators just cannot keep the puck out of their own net. And Zach, you joined me today on the DFO Fantasy Show where we talk about season-long fantasy, and we talked about the Edmonton Oilers at length and just how kind of unfortunate this team has been thus far, particularly on the power play, which according to Sports Logic, they are scoring 0.87 goals scored below expected per game on the power play alone. They're literally just not scoring a full goal on the power play every game. It's kind of unheard of. It's unreal. Funnily enough, though, the number 2 team in that category is the Senators at half a goal per game on the power play. So both these teams feel kind of due, one more than the other. They are kind of doing the classic like break glass in case of emergency tonight with McDavid and Leon together on the top line. Quite frankly, $8,800 and $8,300 is too cheap. I know they have not done much yet. McDavid's still looking for his first goal of the season. If you want to include Vasily Podkolzin on that stack, they're 19,800. I mean, there's just no reason to not like them tonight. The way the Senators are giving up goals. I know the Oilers continue to disappoint, but you said it today, Zach. You know, as bad of a road trip as this has been, they win tonight. They go home 2-3 on the road trip. You feel a little bit better about yourself. And the way the Senators team is playing right now, I think it's highly likely that they at least get going a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too, man. You know, it really just feels like it's a matter of time for guys like McDavid and Draisaitl to get going. I kind of really like this spot for Edmonton, and I know...
Hey, don't break it down too much now. Don't want to jinx them.
I know. Everybody probably hears me say that every time. I like Edmonton 1 in this spot. Well, yeah, that's the reason for that. They're extremely good players, McDavid and Draisaitl. The one thing that I will say, just really quickly, McDavid and Draisaitl have both lit up the Senators in their careers. McDavid, 13 goals and 46 points in 26 games. Leon Draisaitl, 17 goals and 38 points in 26 games. Linus Ullmark in 9 games against the Oilers, 3 wins, a .328 goals against average, and an .888 save percentage. That's all I'm going to say.
It's all coming up Oilers. I will say on the other side of the ice, I am kind of interested in this Ottawa top line tonight as well. They put Stützle, Cousins, and Batherson together last game. They're all very affordable. They looked really good together once getting put together. The problem with it is it kind of makes the rest of this lineup look somewhat unappealing. Like Shane Pinto is on the heater of all heaters right now. So if you want to consider him at 4,900, maybe a little mini with Claude Giroux, I'm okay with that. But most of my interest coming here on Stützle, Cousins, and Batherson. They looked really, really good together the other night. And if this kind of turns into a shootout, then there's the possibility here for the Senators to go off as well. But still, majority of my interest coming in on the Edmonton Oilers. I do think this top power play unit is going to get going eventually. And boy, what a spot for it. Despite kind of being, I think they're 17th in the NHL in actual power play percentage. But when you factor in the scoring chances and stuff that they're generating, they are number 2 in the NHL. So right now they are hot. The Senators PK is brutal. So yeah, fire me up some Oilers PP tonight. I want Leon. I want Connor. I want Boosh. Maybe a little Nuge. He's been hot, but he's hard to trust when he's not playing with one of the big dogs. But yeah, give me the big 3. We still have no idea if it's going to be Savoy or Tomasic up there, do we?
Not that I'm aware of now, no.
No, I reached out. Nobody got back to me. Thanks a lot, Edmonton. For the Senators, decent power play matchup tonight as well. You know, obviously, we're not going to let you talk about the Oilers too much and jinx them, but what do you feel about the Senators side of things here?
Yeah, I think I've got some interest in the Senators side of things. I mean, look, this top line's kind of loaded up here with Cousins, Batherson, and Stützle. If the Oilers kind of put together another stinker tonight, as they have for, 4 games in a row here, you know, even the 2-0 shutout over the Rangers, the Oilers did not play a good game. You know, if the Oilers put up another stinker here, I think this top line for the Senators is absolutely more than viable. I'm going to be getting to them a little bit here tonight. I do like this spot overall.
Allmark shutout inbound. Got it. We just can't catch a break here. We need the Oilers to explode and completely destroy this narrative that we've, created in the last week here on the program. Let's go to Washington and Seattle, Zach.
Game number 5 on the night, we got the Capitals visiting the Seattle Kraken. I almost called them the Mariners, then I almost called them the Seahawks. Thankfully, I landed properly on the Kraken. Washington road favorites nonetheless, minus 265 on the money line. Heavy favorites. 3.8 implied total. That is the highest on the slate here as a whole. And it's pretty easy to see why when you take a look at the 5-on-5 lines here. Washington 2 grading out as the 7th best line on the slate tonight at 4.5% ownership. Washington 1 coming in 12th best line on the slate, 6.9% ownership. Nice. I have no issue getting over the field on both of these lines here. This looks like a smash spot for the Capitals. Solid matchup scores for the top 6. The line stats have been very strong for these guys. Washington, too, just picking up right where they left off last year. This Connor McMichael, Tom Wilson, Alexei Protas line is just absolutely dominant out there on the ice. And their price just isn't changing. Like, I actually think Connor McMichael's price has come down a little bit from last week. Like, he's only $3,800 right now. 15,200 to full stack. You can play them with almost anybody. on this slate here tonight. So I think I'm going to be pretty heavy here on this capital side of things. It looks like a really nice spot. You're not getting huge ceilings, but you're getting solid floors from these guys. I really like this spot going up against the Kraken tonight. And Ovechkin really likes playing up against Seattle for some reason. 5 goals and 11 points in 8 games played for him. Looking at the Seattle side of things, it's definitely a little bit rougher for them. Seattle 1 still grades out 30th best overall. If you're going to play any Seattle, I think that's probably the line to target. Berkeley Catton made his NHL debut yesterday. Had an assist, I believe it was, on a Jordan Eberle goal. I think if you're playing this game with the idea of it being a higher scoring game, which it certainly has the possibility to, I don't mind getting to a little bit of Seattle 1 here. They're super cheap, $11,300. I don't hate that idea there. The matchup is rough for them, but the line stats have been good for these 3 guys. The biggest concern is just not a lot of floor. You're not getting a ton of volume from Matty Beniers. You're not getting a ton of volume from Jordan Eberle. You're basically banking on them scoring a goal or 2 here tonight. They're super low owned, coming in under 2% ownership. I don't necessarily think it's a spot you have to get to or anything like that, but if you need some salary relief, I don't mind that as an option.
Yeah, I just can't play Seattle right now. They just don't generate enough. Just to give you an idea of how good the Ovechkin line has been, they're averaging 6 goals, expected goals for per 60 with Beauvillier up there in a small sample, but just Stroman, Ovechkin, and close to 70 minutes together this year, 4.13 expected goals for per 60, 42.8 scoring chances, 15 high danger chances. They have been unreal, and yeah, no matter who gets to start here for Seattle, I'm just having such a hard time with Seattle because every time I bet the under against Seattle, they're like the worst defensive team in the league, and every time I bet the over, they're like the best defensive team in the league. So I'm just kind of like giving up trying to figure out who the Kraken are, and I'm just going to assume that tonight, because they've got likely Philip Grubauer between the pipes, they're just going to be shit. So give me Washington 1 and Washington 2.
Yeah, I think one argument you can make for playing a little bit of Seattle 1, like if you want to pair Beniers, Eberle, and Vince Dunn together as a mini stack, I don't hate that idea. Their power play has actually been fairly solid so far this year, going up against a really poor Washington Capitals penalty kill. It's not that the Capitals take a lot of penalties in the first place, but when they don't do a very good job of killing them off. Seattle coming in with the 4th best power play matchup on the slate tonight. So I think that's an interesting angle, to maybe attack here in this game. I really like Vince Dunn just as a value defenseman tonight at $4,800. Again, his price comes down like $400 from what it was a couple of days ago. So I think that's the one way to kind of play Seattle in this spot.
Yeah, Vince Dunn grading out as the 4th best value defenseman on the slate. Let's get to the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. Pretty boring. I don't think there's going to be much here. Let's take a look. Like, both offenses have been pretty brutal. Florida tonight, I think, makes me somewhat interested with their new lines. Like, I just never really understand what to do with them right now. You've got Verhaeghe, Bennett, and Reinhart. Like, paper, that should be a really good line. Given their early season sort of struggles, they're cheap. They're $17,600. So I want to buy in here, but I have not really had much success playing them at all so far this season. They just simply are not scoring goals. That being said, the Bruins have not been very tight defensively this year. So I do think at modest ownership, there is reason to at least consider Florida 1. And then obviously you got Florida 2. Brad Marchand returns to Boston. Big storyline tonight. I don't know if I'm stacking Luostarinen, Lindell, and Marchand, but as a one-off option, I think he's fine. You take a look at the matchups, like the top line and the second line both have good matchups here. Like I said, the Bruins not playing very well defensively. Jeremy Swayman's looked sharp, no doubt about it, but I think this is a spot in which Florida can maybe start to get their offense going a little bit. It's funny to think like this. I mean, obviously they're dealing with injuries. No Barkov, no Makachuk is far from ideal, but it's just funny to think about like the offense of the Panthers and the Oilers. And it's hard to not at least think that, going deep into the playoffs, obviously last 2 years has something to do with it. So like the Oilers, I do expect this Panthers offense to get back on track sooner rather than later. And I think this is a pretty good spot to do it. and as I said, the price tag is very modest, and then the ownership is extremely low. So I do think this is a pretty nice buy low spot on Florida. No big power play advantage tonight, but the Bruins are quite undisciplined, so the Panthers are going to get some opportunities. While we're talking about the power play, though, the Florida Panthers have shuffled up this power play unit. They shuffled it, and then they shuffled it again. I think this is like the third reshuffle we've got. So tonight, Reinhart, Lundell, Marchand, and Samiskevich with Seth Jones. And then the second you got Bennett, Ekblad, Verhaeghe there with Rodriguez and Luosterainen. So makes it very difficult to like target. It's just kind of like, for me, Florida one or bust, or Marchand kind of one off. Or Marchand like Seth Jones mini, or Marchand Lundell mini, something like that. But probably not full stacking Florida too. And then on the Boston side, I mean, it's David Pastrnak. He's great, right? He's a pretty good hockey player. The rest of his team stinks. In terms of expected goals for per 60 at 5v5 this year, they're the fifth worst team in the league. And then the Panthers, they haven't been great defensively. They're kind of middle of the pack, but I can't play the Bruins. They're just bad at hockey. Besides Pastrnak, like, if it wasn't for David Pastrnak, this team may never score a goal. So unless you have anything to say about the Panthers and the Bruins, I probably talked too long about it. Take it away with St. Louis and LA.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say about this game, I kind of have a little bit of interest in both sides here. Like, not much, but 20 maxing tonight I am. So I'll probably sprinkle in a little bit of it. I like the idea of Marchand Lundell minis. Marchand, tons of shot volume so far this season. Of course, you've got the revenge game narrative here as well playing out. Jeremy Swayman has not been good against Florida in his career. 6 games played, 3 wins, 332 goals against average, and 892 save percentage. And Bobrovsky, not good against Boston. 25 games played against the Bruins in his career. 6 wins, a 3.6 goals against average, and an 887 save percentage. I don't love it, but I think I'll get there a little bit here in this game on those sides. Just like the pricing here, especially on Florida. What I don't really like is the look of this St. Louis LA game. Kings on the road here visiting St. Louis. St. Louis, the home favorites, minus 129 on the money line. 3.1 implied total for St. Louis, 2.8 for the Kings. It's pretty much LA one or bust for me. Byfield, Fiala, Kempe, I like the look of this line. I mean, this is kind of what I've hoped to see for a while from the Kings. Granted, Anze Kopitar going down with that foot injury is bringing these 3 guys together. It kind of consolidates the Kings' best players together here offensively. So I think I've got a little bit of interest in getting there. There's really no ownership coming in whatsoever on this game. I think LA1 is really the only line that I have really any interest in kind of getting to in this game. 94.5 pace score. The matchups are brutal on the St. Louis side of things, which is to be expected for really anybody going up against the Kings. Matchups are okay, bit below average here for the Kings. But again, I mean, I just like the look of this top line for the Kings. I like the idea of these 3 guys together. And the benefit of it is just a solid floor. But beyond that, man, like, I think this is one we can keep short and sweet because I really don't have much interest elsewhere here.
Yeah, like, it's interesting. I think the St. Louis Blues are a team that I'm having a difficult time with as well. Kind of like every time I buy in, they just lay an absolute egg. The metrics suggest that they're performing pretty well at 5v5. But like I said, every time I kind of take a look and buy in, nothing happens. And then you just factor in that their power play has been one of the worst in the league. And it's hard to to get interested in the Blues. That being said, yeah, I agree with you on LA1. Like, the ownership is just non-existent. If they were chalky, I would probably like whatever. I'm not that interested, but they're not expensive. They're very good. Fiala and Byfield together are unreal. Kempe's having a great start to the season. I'm buying in here. I'm interested in LA1. LA2 is going to play a massive amount of minutes. I think they're a super contrarian value option, nothing more than that. St. Louis 1 finally stacks power play 1. They've been shuffling this power play around like crazy. It's stacked, but I don't think like moving Jimmy Snuggerud off the top unit, it makes you better. Like, he's probably got the best shot on the team. So, I just don't think this team's got much of a floor, and the matchup is far from ideal. Nashville and Anaheim, slightly more exciting game, from a DFS standpoint anyways. We've got, it's just no surprise here at this point that Anaheim 2 grades out extremely well. 5th best overall. I think they have the best 5v5 score. I've said it before. A lot of their 5v5 score is fueled by the fact that they play a shitload. Seeing modest ownership tonight, but who is not seeing modest ownership is Nashville 1. Nashville in a chalk spot. Boy, I don't know if that's ever worked before, ever. But I will say, man, this Nashville team has been pretty solid this year. They played well against the Jets the other day, but just kind of ran into a brick wall that is Connor Hellebuck. From an expected goals for per 60 metric at 5v5, top 10 in the league. And then you've got Anaheim, who's like a bottom 7 defensive team. So I think it makes sense. It lines up here. They got a really talented top line. They're only $14,700 to full stack. I just think that there's so much here to like about Nashville, but besides the ownership, obviously they fully correlate on that top power play unit with Stamkos and Roman Josi. They've got that going for them. I guess the only negative is that the Ducks PK has been quite good so far this season. So I do not think that I'm going to get to 20% as I sit here currently, but at that price point, it's going to be hard not to click on them in this matchup. I do like this as a game stack option. I think that aside from the fact that UC Saros has been fantastic this year, I think Anaheim's in a good spot again tonight. I think that, maybe some of the hype surrounding this top line has worn off. I think that's partly to do with it. I think the other side of the coin is their price tag has skyrocketed, right? I mean, it was very easy to click on Bennett Seneca when he was $2,500, $5,400 less appealing. But this line still grades out extremely well. The underlying metrics are still quite strong for them. The matchups for them as well, pretty good on both sides. Nashville 2, the best matchup on the entire slate. So yeah, I think that it's interesting. Just an interesting game overall. I would have more interest in kind of Howla and Bunting on that second line if they were generating anything at all at 5v5. Maybe getting Stamkos instead of Marchessault on that line will help. I think what's interesting tonight, if you're playing Nashville, is just kind of Stamkos as a one-off, or like a Stamkos Josi mini stack, something along that lines, to still kind of get exposure to Nashville, but without paying the 20% premium that Nashville 1 is. So I kind of like Stamkos tonight. I kind of like Roman Josi tonight. I'm still going to get to some Nashville just because they are in such a great spot, but 20% seems outrageous. So 31 shot attempts in 6 games for Steven Stamkos as well. Jim says Forsberg feels due. Yeah, I think this whole team kind of feels due, right? Like from a expected goals standpoint, they've been great, but they're just not really finishing, which isn't like totally surprising, right? They do lack quality finishers kind of up and down this lineup outside of like Forsberg and Stamkos, but Forsberg shooting just 5.3%. Certainly not. Certainly going to see some regression coming his way. Zach, this is a really interesting game. Very high owned. What are your thoughts on Nashville Anaheim?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, man. I agree with you. Like, I don't think I can get to the field at like 20% on Nashville 1. I've got interest in getting there because it does feel like a good spot. I really think that what this game is going to come down to is which Lucas Dostal shows up tonight. Do we get the Dost wall or the Dost screen door? His track record against the Nashville Predators has been really good. 4 games played. He's got 3 wins, a 221 goals against average, 939 save percentage. He has been really good against Nashville in his career. So he could be a serious chalkbuster here on this slate tonight at $7,400, projecting for like 5% ownership. I'm probably going to get a little over the field on Dostal tonight in hopes to kind of bust this chalk up. But in the same breath, like I also don't mind getting to some of this Nashville side. Anaheim, again, I've got interest in getting there. I'm okay paying the price that Anaheim 2 is, but at the end of the day, you can like save $1,700 by just playing Washington 2, which look like they're in a much better spot overall than Anaheim 2 here. So I don't know, take it as it comes, take it as it goes. I don't entirely know where to go here in this game yet, but I do have interest in at least getting, some of this ownership into my lineups tonight.
At least from an expected goals for standpoint, Anaheim 1's actually overtaken Anaheim 2, and they're the one that gets all the power play usage. So as I think that, if you want to save the like $2,800 and go to Anaheim 1, I think that they're in a really interesting spot tonight as well. Again, matchup is kind of far from amazing, but it's not bad at all. They're going to see a lot of the Nashville fourth line. They're going to see a lot of the Nashville top line. And both of those lines struggle a little bit defensively. So I think Anaheim 1 is kind of interesting. And the reason that they don't grade out better is just because Anaheim 2 soaks up a lot of that 5v5 usage, but Anaheim 1 soaks up all of that power play usage. And the power play, the matchup isn't great, but their power play has been red hot. So I do think, if you want to target Anaheim, the top line is certainly in play as well, not just that second line. Let's get to the second to last game.
Yeah, we've got the Dallas Stars and the Columbus Blue Jackets here tonight. Columbus heading into Dallas as the road underdogs. Dallas minus 181 favorites on the money line tonight. 3.6 implied total for the Dallas Stars, 2.7 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Dallas won, grading out as the number one line overall to target on this slate tonight. I have definite interest in getting to this Dallas Stars side of things. They have been pretty awesome to start the year here. This top six has been chugging along at a really good clip. Tons of ownership coming in on Dallas here. Dallas 2 seeing 12.4%, 9.7% for that Dallas 1 line. I have no issue in getting to this top six of the Dallas Stars here tonight. Dallas 2 grading out as the 10th best overall on this slate as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that earlier this year, there was a lot of line blending going on here with this top six for the Stars. Is that still kind of been the case here the last couple of games for Dallas?
Yeah, they just keep, especially tonight, I think it'll continue again because Matt Duchene's back out of the lineup. It does look like they've kind of gone to a little bit more solidified top six, but I don't even think it's a foregone conclusion that Seguin definitely plays there. If you take a look at who we used for a source today, he just said quick line rushes, but I believe I saw this. So I don't feel necessarily the strongest ever about those lines. So I do think that they're going to kind of continue to shuffle tonight, but yeah, they've been great.
Well, the one beauty of it is that Dallas has a great matchup on the power play tonight. The number one power play matchup on the slate, third best power play going up against the 31st ranked penalty kill. The nice thing is that, Dallas's forwards from Dallas 1 and Dallas 2 all play on the power play. I think it's pretty easy to kind of correlate and build around this power play and expect them to get some chances there. I think that's probably the easiest way to attack this Dallas Stars side of a thing. Basically everybody in this top six has been like a point per game player against Columbus in their career. There's good shot volume from both of these lines. All four of these forwards that are on that top power play unit, really good shot volume, scoring at good clips so far this season. I've got a lot of interest in Dallas here tonight. Elvis Merzlikins has struggled against the Stars in his career. 8 games played, 3 wins, 322 goals against average, and 896 save percentage. Ottinger, meanwhile, has been great going up against Columbus. 9 wins in 11 games played, a shutout, 2 goals against average, 9.16 save percentage. I think you can get to a little bit of this Columbus side here tonight. I don't mind the idea of attacking this top line. That's probably the way that I would go here. Columbus 1 grading out as the 11th best line overall on this slate tonight. Both goaltenders are projected to see a pretty good amount of volume here. This feels like a game that could kind of get a little off the rails offensively here. So, probably avoiding any of the Columbus power play here. Their power play has been really rough to start this season, but it does feel like a pretty interesting game here.
Yeah, as kind of bad defensively as the Stars can be at 5v5 at times, I've been burned by the Blue Jackets several times already this year. If they can't score against Jonas Johansson, I have concerns about their ability to score against Jake Ottinger tonight. I don't think I'm not crossing them out entirely at 16,100. That top line, I had massive hopes for an Adam Fantilli breakout this year. I'm not saying that those hopes are dashed quite yet, but he's just not playing enough. So that second line, I think, is a little meh to me, where Dallas has seen some ownership, but I would rather play Dallas than Nashville tonight. The price tag on Nashville is a little bit better, but boy, this Dallas spot looks phenomenal. I'm kind of all in on this top six. I still think kind of the mini stack route of Hintz and Rantanen and Robertson and Johnston is the route to go. I think a full power play stack is certainly in the cards as well. Just kind of get exposure to both those lines and that top unit, which you said has the best matchup overall. So I really, really like Dallas tonight. The Blue Jackets are just downright terrible defensively. I think the one thing you could say is that Elvis Merzlikins, to his credit, has been superb. 920 save percentage. The problem, he still has a 354 goals against average. That's just perfectly outlines how bad the Blue Jackets are defensively. You can have a 920 save percentage and a GAA above 3.5. It's actually unheard of bad. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The one thing about Merzlikins, granted he's played in just 2 games so far this season, 40 and a half saves per hour of ice time. He is seeing just mountains and mountains of volume. And for a Dallas team that is shooting at a really good clip, they are really pushing the pace in terms of the shots. Feels like a bit of a smash spot here for Dallas.
Hell yeah. I am all in. I want to just pull it up here. I had it on my fingertips a moment ago. The Blue Jackets are giving up the second most, 68 shot attempts per game. Second worst only to the San Jose Sharks, 34 shots on goal per 60. I mean, it's just insane volume that they're both giving up. Utah and Colorado. Fun game here, but quite honestly, like Utah has been super, super good at home. They've been super tight defensively this year. They grade out 6th best in the NHL in terms of expected goals against per 60 at 5v5, according to Sports Logic. Colorado is in the top 10. They're 9th. Offensively, the Avs are an absolute juggernaut, but I do have concerns a little bit here on the Colorado side of things that Utah, they've done a really good job on home ice, kind of just slowing the game down and keeping it kind of low scoring and tight checking. So I don't really think this game is going to get too crazy. That being said, it's obviously always hard to kind of ignore Colorado 1, but at 23,200, like you kind of see it here, right? This is a line that usually grades out like number 1. Tonight is just not the case. I think at their ownership level, I don't mind getting there, but like I'd rather pay up for Edmonton. I just think it's a better spot. I think Utah keeps this game pretty tight. Maybe like a 3-2 Avs win, something like along those lines is what we're going to have in store tonight. And I just don't think, McKinnon, Netchess, and company are really going to be optimal in this one. So I'm probably staying away, but I think it's always, worth considering them when they are as low owned as they are. The matchups on both sides are putrid. I think that just, showcases kind of how tight checking and low scoring this game is likely to be. But these offensive metrics on both sides, very, very good. Defensive metrics on both sides, very good. Kind of rock meets hard place here. I think the defense will probably end up winning out. This ends up being a little bit tighter checking. Both power plays have been just dismal so far this year, which is pretty wild when you're talking about the Colorado Avalanche. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of interest in this one. I think it's going to be lower scoring. Do you have any different opinions?
I kind of like the idea of getting a bit over the field here on Colorado. I've mentioned it before on this show. Like I like to pay up to get different in certain spots. And it feels like this is an okay pay up to get different spot here for Colorado 1. They've been just awesome to start the year here, man. Like they are just absolutely flying on all cylinders. And these 3 guys, Lehkonen, McKinnon, and Netchess, have really lit up, the Utah Mammoth so far, the Utah Hockey Club last year. McKinnon, 4 games played, 2 goals, 6 points, 3 goals in 3 games for Lehkonen, a goal and an assist in 2 games for Marty Netchess as well. Yeah, okay, I get it. They are extremely expensive to pay up for here. I think there's enough value spots and value players around this slate that you can get there okay. So far this season, they're averaging this line 45 and a half DraftKings points per game. That is like 7 points more than the second highest, which is New Jersey 2. So I don't mind the idea of paying up to get different here. Don't have to go too crazy, but I mean, for me, like I don't really have any issue in finding a way to get to 10% Colorado 1 here. The one thing too, Karel Vejmelka been okay against Colorado in his career, 3 wins in 9 games, 3 goals against average, and 903 save percentage. I totally get it. Utah has been, like you said, been solid defensively so far this season, but Colorado, man, they can really break slates open, and on such a massive slate like this, they definitely have the potential, I think, to be a line that can do so again.
Yeah, they have been great. They are just so expensive in a tough matchup. I agree. Like it's fun to get to when they are low owned. Okay, let's really quickly recap our top 10 here. Dallas 1, Edmonton 1, the Islanders second line, Pittsburgh 1, Anaheim 2, Colorado 1, Washington 2, Florida 1, Nashville 1, and Dallas 2, rounding out our top 10. Zach, favorite line on the slate, and why is it Edmonton 1?
Well, it's always Edmonton 1 for obvious reasons here. It feels like a good get-right spot for this team. Beyond that, I really like the look of Pittsburgh 1. I think they're in a really nice spot going up against the Vancouver Canucks here. Washington 2 at $15,200. Talked about really liking them. And then for me, the third I'll probably go with is a power play onslaught stack of the Dallas Stars. They've been just great to start the season here so far. It feels like a really nice spot for them.
Yeah, fully agree. I love Edmonton and Dallas tonight for sure. I think the San Jose side is one that's kind of interesting. I wish they were going to be a little bit lower owned. When you look at the kind of the overall line own percentage tonight, I mean, Edmonton 1 sticks out as one that's probably too low owned. Anaheim 2, same thing. Washington 2, Florida 1, Colorado 1. Kind of your leverage spots here according to the charts. Let's get to some goalies and defensemen. That is the wrong tab. Here we go. Let's get to the defenseman. Value defenseman tonight. Those two broke the charts, but Brady Shea, good spot. We like Nashville tonight. I think that's an interesting one at $3,300. Jake Wallman making his season debut at $4,300. Grades out well. Matthias Ekholm's been shooting a lot this year, 4,200. Mario Ferraro, shot block god. I mean, they give up 68 shot attempts per 60, so lots of opportunities for him to block shots tonight at $2,700. Big fan of him here. Do I not have the right charts open? Let's get to the one with the actual own percentage. Here we go. Who's getting high owned tonight among our value defensemen? So 9% on Brady Shea, 2% on Jake Wallman. Ferraro just 4%. Malinsky, your guy's $2,700. Grades out well. Who is everybody playing? Roman Josi, unsurprising. Matthew Schaefer, 2 highest owned defensemen tonight by a long shot. Makes sense. I like to meet Orlov as well. Mario Ferraro, boy, $2,700. Who sticks out to you as a good value option tonight?
Yeah, I think you had some good shots there. Obviously, Brady Shea looks like he's in a pretty good spot tonight. 9% ownership to, Colton Parayko grading out as the best value defenseman. He's got a huge projection tonight. Good shot volume, good block volume from him. I like going there. Jake Wallman is pretty interesting at $4,300. I don't know necessarily how much I'm going to get there, but it's worth mentioning. He has been really good for the Edmonton Oilers and really changed the shape of this blue line. Beyond Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard, when Wallman is in the lineup, the Oilers don't really have a very good puck mover on that second or third pairing. So I think Wallman coming back and helping on that front is going to be a huge addition to this Oilers lineup. Tony DeAngelo, he looks like a decent value option. Mario Ferraro, I love my shot blocks, man. Shot block guys. Ferraro is definitely one I'm going to be mixing into the lineup. Same with Sam Malinsky as well at $2,700.
Who are the shot block gods of the night? We got Colton Parayko, Jacob Trouba, Ian Cole, Jake Wallman, Mario Ferraro, Thomas Chabot. I don't know which one of us said it, but we said Netchas instead of Nachas. I'm so sorry. My bad. Or your bad. One of our bads for sure. Unbelievable. Inexcusable. Let's get to the goalies tonight. Logan Thompson grades out as the best goalie overall at $8,500. Pretty expensive. Not going to see a lot of shot volume. Don't know if I'll necessarily get there. I think Jake Odger, most expensive or highest owned goalie in the slate. I do think that makes a lot of sense. Pretty good. Very high implied win percentage. Should see a decent amount of shot volume. I think he makes a lot of sense. Sorokin, I just can't trust right now, even in this matchup. I think at best he sees no shot volume and doesn't give up 4. At worst, he gives up 4. Bob, I think, is an okay spot without, just not enough shot volume probably. UC Saros has been great. Going to see good volume. I'm okay there. Bennington, not so much. Wedgwood, that game's fine. I think Vejmelka and Wedgwood are both okay. Like Vejmelka's a decent pay down option at 7,300. I agree with you on Dostal as a potential chalk buster. Jeremy Swayman drawing ownership. I think he makes a lot of sense at 7,200 just with the way that Panthers offense has kind of looked thus far. I think, Merzlikins makes sense just from a pure, hey, I'm just going to see a shitload of volume and get to the save bonus standpoint. I think Askarhov's kind of similar. I think he's in a decent chalk busting spot, although he's been just horrific so far. There's a lot of goalie options tonight. My favorite is probably Ottinger, and then some of the cheap guys, I think. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of like the cheaper options here on this slate tonight. Lucas Dostal talked about him as that chalk buster. I think he's a fine play tonight. I don't mind the idea of $7,500 Jake Allen. He's been so good this year. 934 save percentage, 0.9 goals saved above average per game played. Granted, it's only 3 games, but he has been really, really good to start the season here. Some of the more expensive guys, I like Bobrovsky up there up top. I think Scott Wedgwood is a fine play here as well. He's been just tremendous to start the season as well. I think those are both fine options.
You should get paid to take Grubauer. I mean, just look at that projection. So horrific. Okay, let's get to the what's it called? Hat Trick Pick Challenge. Let's get to the Hat Trick Pick Challenge tonight. If you want to participate in today's Hat Trick Pick Challenge, you can do so by clicking or by commenting your hat trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube, not the live chat. Drop your comment in there, and we will pick you and give you a $25 gift card if your player scores a hat trick tonight. Zach, you can go first.
Listen, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. showed up in an Austin Matthews jersey yesterday, and the Blue Jays are going to the World Series. Going with Austin Matthews tonight for the hat trick pick challenge. He's got 2 hat tricks against the Devils in his career. Let's go for the hat trick of hat tricks.
The hat trick of hat tricks. Austin Matthews. I like it. I am going to go with the guy we featured on the image of today's show. I'm going with Mikko Rantanen. I think Dallas Stars are in a great spot. Okay, lots of chatter in the live chat today. We don't have time to do the draw, but everybody who dropped a comment in the live chat today entered to win a $25 gift card to Nation Gear. We will pull the name tomorrow when we do the show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Before we go, we just want to give a shout out to our friends at rotogrinders.com for providing projected ownership for today's show. If you want to get $20 off your first month of RotoGrinders Premium and take everything you learned in today's show and run it through their lineup optimizer to build the perfect lineup, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the video on YouTube. Also in the description is the link to our DFO DFS Discord. If you want to join that, it's growing every day, and we just chat DFS all day long. You also get access to the charts. If you like the charts that you saw on today's show, you can access them through the Discord channel. So yeah, that is going to do it for this edition of the DFO DFS Hockey Report. Marco says, thanks, gents. Good show. And Dostal tonight for Graham B. Yeah, Zach likes him. I can see it. So yeah, Mikko Rantanen for me. Austin Matthews for you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Till then, cheers.
Cheers.